Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of One More Round. We're just churning them out now. I'm in the zone. So every Saturday morning, we're bringing you a new episode of One More Round. And I'm really thrilled to have Niels Reib with me on today's episode of One More Round. Niels is an absolute megastar. Absolutely love this guy. He's a career branding specialist. He's all the way from Copenhagen in Denmark. He's flying the flag for Denmark. We've not had any Danish people on One More Round. I doubt we'll have any more Danish people after this because he would just nail it, I'm sure. Niels, good to see you on today's One More Round.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I know, like me, you do a lot of podcasts. You know, you love to share your story. You love to educate. You know, we've been connected for a little while now. And I just thought it was a great opportunity just to bring out and draw out of you, you know, the essence of who you are, because you're very likable, easy to connect with, and I think those are two really important traits in business. And so what I want to do in this first part is really get people to connect, you know, with you. Who are you? I know it's quite a profound and in-depth question. Most people share what they do and they don't actually say who they are. But try and do your best, Niels, to let us know who you are. Who are you?
Well, as you said, I'm a career branding specialist, and I kind of came up to where I am today. It was kind of a coincidence based on some not so happy times. And back in 2010, I went through some really some hard times, being laid off, a broken relationship, hospitalized with a depression, and homeless. Mm. And once I got out on the other side of that, of course, I got the right kind of help and spent some time really getting, you know, back to finding myself and doing a lot of soul searching. But as I got out on the other side, I thought that, hey, I might not be the only one who've been going through a hard time. I was, as I said, unemployed. And I thought if the things that I had learned from going through that could help just one other person, then it would be worth sharing. So I just started blogging, not knowing what I was doing. But I just thought that would be a great way to share my message. And things just started to happen. I started to attract people to my network based on the content that I created, which was based on personal leadership for job seekers. And that led me to one day I was called up, like a month and a half after I launched the blog. I was called up by a journalist asking if I wanted to be in an article that he'd written. And it was about being laid off and why it shouldn't be such a taboo, since it happens to like 50% of all professionals at least once during their careers. And of course I said yes. And a month later, when that article was published, also mentioning my blog, I got an email asking if I wanted to come out and do a 2-hour presentation for a group of job seekers on personal leadership. So, you know, that's just how things have happened. And the next time I got the opportunity to do a talk, I was on stage for 30 minutes in front of 500 people. And I saw all these things started to happen when I started sharing my thoughts, my ideas and interests, and the lessons that I learned, that, you know, it was just amazing. I got amazing opportunities to have meetings with high profile politicians like then Labor Minister here in Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, and journalists and other political consultants, you know, reaching out to me, asking my opinion on job market related issues. So, you know, I just created this platform of opportunity because I shared my thoughts, interests, and the things that I learned.
You really epitomize the whole essence of the thought and the feeling behind One More Round. You know, going through those personal, real struggles, and yet being able to pivot, evolve, journey through, and leave those places of victimization rather than dwelling on, you know, your misery and your challenge. You actually used, you know, blogging in order to be able to share and resonate and connect with other people. And when you blog, Niels, was it very much around the fact that you were doing it for you as a bit of a self-help? processing some of your thoughts, through writing?
At first, it didn't. That wasn't the reason I did it. The reason I did it was because I was just hoping that it could help other people. But of course, it had this healing effect on me as well, because once you start blogging, you want to put thoughtful things out there, you reflect on things in a different way than you would otherwise. So there was some therapeutic things going on there as well, doing that. So yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't be today where I am today if I hadn't started that blog, even though I didn't know what I was doing.
Nice. We're going to unpack some more of your own journey in the episode today. But I kind of wanted to just ask you a couple of questions that really kind of like more paint a picture of who you are. I want to focus a little bit on some of the things that you've benefited from and how you feel that they could benefit others. So my first question really is, what's the one word that you want the world to associate with you?
Wow. One word, generous. That would be a good one.
Yeah, I get the impression you have been grateful for what you have, and now that you are increasing, what you have, that ability to continue to be generous, something at the core of who you are. What is your sweet spot in terms of the day? Is it when you first wake up? Is it in the afternoon, or is it in the evening?
You see, I've always been telling myself that, or since I began this journey that I'm on, I thought I was most productive in the evening and nighttime. But that was probably because I was a late riser. But I don't know. I don't have a specific time of day where I'm most productive. It seems like I think that creativity and productivity comes with action. So you can actually be productive throughout the day or different times of day if you choose to take action. That's pretty much what I do and try to do.
Great. What is the greatest habit you have?
Getting out of bed in the morning.
Doing it every day.
Every day. That's a good habit. No, I think it's just I try to journal. Try to do it every day. And there's some gratitude in there. I have a daily vision I write out in the evening before, where I just visualize the day that I'm going to have. I've got my daily action that I need to take one big action every day towards one of my goals. And then I've got some other to-do things which are more personal, which is like remember to drink enough water, read, be in bed by 10, stuff like that.
Awesome. Thinking of reading, can you recommend one book that has had the biggest impact on your life and what you believe other people should read?
Definitely. And when I'm asked that question, only one book comes to mind, and that is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. That was the book that helped me turn around from being down in the gutter and to be where I am today. And just, if you just utilize habit number 1, which is to be proactive, and keep focusing on the things that you have control of and can influence, then it'll take you a long way. And then if you add the other habits as well, then of course it'll take you even further.
Very true. What about a tool? We live in a technology world. Is there an app or a business tool that you use that you think would be advantageous for us to look at? Well,
I do a lot of interviews and recordings like the ones that we do here, and I have a tool called Call Recorder that I use for Skype. And Ecamm, who made that, also just made a Facebook Live app, which I'm starting to dive into a little bit, which is pretty cool, where you can do set up presentations live on Facebook right from your computer, and share videos and presentations, and really a cool app and tool.
Very good. Now, you seem very well put together, very assured. Is there anything you're afraid of, Niels? Is there anything that, is your nemesis?
Well, of course, just can't think of it. No, it's, well, I guess it's, I've always, before, I used to be very concerned about what people thought about me. Mm-hmm. But I've come to realize that, hey, people don't think as much about me as I do. And they think about themselves. So it's again, it's about focusing on the things that I've control of, and not really letting other people's expectations to me control what I do. I think because what I do is really not that common for people here in Denmark, and people don't really quite understand it. But hey, it makes sense to me, so I'm doing it.
Let's shift gears now then, Niels. When you think of the word "one more round," what problem do you solve? I think it's a question that we should be asking ourselves more and more each day. I think it's one of the things that we really let ourselves down with business, because until we identify what problem we solve, do we really have a sustainable business? You know what, people say to me, Matt, how do you make £1 million? In some ways it's really simple. Find a problem that affects 1 million people. If you can create a solution for that, then you know that what problem you solve is scalable and is in demand. What does it conjure up? What comes to mind for you?
Well, the obvious, I'm not going to say, because that's a boxing thing, right? But another round to me is that we've always got a second chance, most of the time, of course, unless we're, sick and there's no cure. But again, it's my own story just shows that, hey, even though you're down, you can always choose to get out of the situation you're in. It's all up to you. And it's not always easy, but again, if you keep focusing on the things that you're in control of, the things that you can do, then, and just take it one step at a time, then you can always come back for another round.
Yeah, I mean, we do think of boxing, but how many great fights? I remember, even with like movies like Rocky, where they say, just go one more round. It's like, I think in the film Unbroken, it says, if you can take it, you can make it. It's that sense of, life, hits us in the face. You've started to already share about some of that, but if you could share one specific story, Niels, of where you went one more round, where what you were facing was a challenge, it was tough, it put you on your backside. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I can tell you pretty much, and I almost can tell you the specific time of day when this happened. And that was when I was in the hospital with a depression. I didn't have a place to live. I had that broken relationship. I didn't have a job. So things were pretty, didn't look too good. So all the basics in life were pretty well, pretty off. But then one night, a Sunday evening, laying in my bed in the middle of the night, just being like, just in a big black hole, when all of a sudden this sentence that I'd read in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People before I really went down came to mind. And Stephen Covey says in that book, between stimulus and reaction, you've always got a choice to choose your reaction. And just by that you've always got that choice. It just lifted the weight off my shoulders. And as I usually say in my talks, when I talk about this, if a nurse had come in, she would have been blinded by my big white smile, you know, because that was just such a relief. And I just went up on the whiteboard that I had in my room, on top of the list of the things that I had to figure out with somewhere to live and job and stuff like that. On top of that, I just wrote new beginning and kind of reset. And the day after, I went on Facebook and asked if anybody knew somewhere that I could get, you know, an apartment. And within like an hour, the guy that I'm renting from today had written me on Facebook and saying well, I've got this apartment. You can rent that because I don't use it. Again, focusing on the things that you can do instead of being overwhelmed by all the things that you can't change. That was really the change and where I got my other round.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love the fact that you said, Niels, that it's a choice. We all have a choice. What makes you choose, and what made you choose the path that you did? Because you could have chose the other side of the coin where you stayed in that place of defeat and depression. Why did you choose the path that you did?
It wasn't fun to be there. You know, it was draining and not it was just not a great place to be in. And I wanted more, you know. And then of course I've been told that I have some internal resources and strengths that of course have helped me on this journey as well, because one thing I learned from going through that, and one thing that I've never been really good at before then, was to really ask for help when I needed it. And I got the right kind of help back then, and that helped me make that decision as well, to choose to move forward and focusing on the things that I was in control of.
And when you go through challenges now, because obviously you've come through that, you're no longer in that space, you're achieving some great things, you're making your own riptides in this world. When you face challenges now, what are some of the practical things that you do in order to shift out of that?
I ask myself two questions. If I'm faced with a challenge, then I ask myself, okay, what can I do about it? Is there something I can do about it? If there is something I can do about it, that's my focus. If I can't do anything about it, I forget about it and move on.
I like that.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, because too many of us are, you know, we spend and we waste so much energy on the things that we can't control, you know, and it's just futile. I must admit, I was traveling to Heathrow from where I live, which is like about an hour and 45 minutes to get a flight from Heathrow to Oslo. And, you know, about 20 minutes to go, there was an accident, and the traffic on my GPS, it went from 20 minutes to like an hour and 20. And I'm like, dude, my flight leaves in like 2 hours. Like, it was what I call squeaky bum time. But, you know, I realized the fact that it was out of my control. What can I do?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't do anything about it other than reschedule your flight, maybe.
Yeah, which sometimes comes at a cost. And, you know, you're just like, why should I have to pay for that?
Yeah. But, you know, that's just life happening sometimes, you know.
It is. It's very true, you know, and I love the fact that you've allowed what you've been through to shape you, and you can see that in your interactions, how you project yourself, how you communicate. You're very grateful and grounded for what you've been through, and now that you're achieving, you haven't allowed, you know, success to go to your head and forget, you know, where you've come from, because sometimes when people have a bit of success, they forget where they've come from, don't they?
Yeah, but to me, it's just important to remember and stay humble and yeah, you know, just have that go-giver mindset and not let it get to your head. It's to me, it's just I guess that's part of growing up in Denmark, where we've got this jantelov, which is like don't think that you're better than anybody else and all these other kind of hidden rules. But that's just part of I think being Scandinavian, so it's just part of my DNA, I guess.
Nice. You're a career branding specialist. Unpack that a little bit for us. What's the essence of that?
Well, the essence goes back to my story about sharing what you're passionate about and sharing your interests and sharing in a professional way what you're passionate about professionally. Because career branding is, some would call it personal branding, but I strictly focus on people's careers in order to help them attract the kind of opportunities to get to do the work that they love based on their passion and their professional interests. Today, with all what goes on social media and online, it's critically important to be on top of your online presence as a professional, because the first thing any recruiter or headhunter or future employee will do if they find your job application to be interesting is to Google you. And you need to be on top of things there, because I've received emails from people who have been so frustrated that they couldn't get a job and they wouldn't even get called in for interviews. And what I do, the first thing I do when I get emails like that is to Google them, of course. And usually it's not pretty what shows up, then they've made some comments in some forums or on Facebook or whatever it might be that just hurts their chances of landing that next job. So being on top of your online presence is essential to your career success moving forward. And what I do with career branding is to help people actually feed Google with all the things that they want to be known for professionally, so that whenever people come to their website, they'll know exactly what you're about. That'll make you stand out to any employer. They will get to know you even better than from just looking at your LinkedIn profile, which is just a dead, resume pretty much. There's so many other opportunities having that website and sharing your knowledge on there, building that knowledge base around the things that you're interested in professionally, writing about the books that you read or, courses that you take, what goes on in your industry, the trends and all that sort of things, to really help you stand out in the market, in the job market moving forward, where again, we're going to see a job market completely changing, going where employees need to have a more of a entrepreneurial mindset to land jobs in the future.
And how have you managed yourself to be able to brand your own business and utilize what you've learned in order to create a solution to a problem? Because that's the essence of business, isn't it? Is to see a problem and then offer the solution. How did it all kind of evolve?
Well, it kind of I just saw what happened once I started writing about personal leadership for job seekers and all the opportunities that I got, and to go out and do talks for hundreds of people, and going in the media here. And it was just a door of opportunity that opened up because of that content. And even though I haven't done anything on that site in, I think like 4 years now, I'm still getting emails from journalists and political consultants who wants to ask me questions about the job market. And I get emails from people just finding the content they find there, helpful. So once you put yourself out there, you're not only going to be able to have that website and use that as a tool when you look for a job, but people are also going to find you based on the content that you create. So that, I hope answer your questions.
Yeah. So Niels, with everything that you're doing. I know you've got some exciting projects that you're working on as well at the moment. What are those?
Well, I've got this awesome online summit coming up where people are going to get a bunch of career inspiration from authors who've sold millions of books, coaches that have thousands and thousands of followers, and it's just going to be amazing. I'm going to be covering on that summit. There's going to be master classes on career clarification. There's going to be a masterclass on storytelling. There's going to be a masterclass on how to listen your way to success in your career. There's going to be a topic and a masterclass on the future job market. I have a futurist on talking about what we can expect to see moving forward. There's going to be, of course, something about career branding and branding, and just have some awesome people on here this year that I'm just super excited about it. There's an executive recruiter on there as well, and headhunter, talking about what she's looking at in applications and in candidates. So just a wealth of awesome insights on how to move on in your career. There's an awesome masterclass on career change as well. So if people are in that situation, it's going to be awesome.
Brilliant. And I'll get you to share details of where people can find out more about that and jump into that so they can be a part of that. Niels, if I was to ask you your top 3 tips when it comes to career branding, I think you've already alluded to one, which was around the social media presence. What would be 2 others that you believe would be great takeaways for people to have a look and reflect on their own career and the way that they, come across?
Yeah, first of all, I think everyone should Google themselves to know what's out there. And it's a great idea to do that before you send out your applications, and even before you go in for an interview. And then you want to hide your private results on Google, because if you don't do that, you don't see what other people see. So you want to open up and see what everybody else is seeing about you on Google there. Then you should have your LinkedIn profile optimized based on the 5 to 7 keywords that you want to be found on LinkedIn when headhunters and recruiters are looking for talent there. Make sure to optimize your profile. And then, of course, you need to, because what I'm saying is you need to be on LinkedIn, but if you build your career brand on LinkedIn, then it's pretty much like building a house on a rented lot. And that's why I'm talking about having that website where you take complete ownership of your online presence, and no one can take your content away from you, because anything you share on social media today is owned by those platforms, and you never know where LinkedIn or any of the other platforms will be in 5 to 10 years from now.
It's very true. Very true. Good. So good tips there. Make sure that you take a look at them. Google yourself. It's always a fascinating thing to do that. Interesting, because people's perception is their reality.
Exactly. And if you make sure that Google shows the things that you want them to know you for, they're going to feel like they know you once you get into an interview.
Very true. Niels, have you got any final thoughts before we find out how do people, connect with you and how to tap into this masterclass that you've got coming up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm on social media, and if they just type in Niels Reib, then I'm going to be there. On Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, I've got my page there. And on LinkedIn, of course, as well. And of course, there's my website, nielsreib.com, where people can sign up. And actually, I have this free email course that'll help people wherever they are, either if it's with their online presence with Google or their LinkedIn profile, and help to get that optimized, or if they want to get help to set up that website. So there's an awesome course there, action steps every week. Then, of course, there's my online summit, the careerbrandingsummit.com, where people can sign up and get 20 masterclasses that are just going to be awesome during the 5 days going on from May 7th to the 11th.
Awesome. Niels, it's been great to have you on one more round.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Take care.